How you doing, everybody? It's March the 20th 2010 and beautiful day outside. It's around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just want to deal with two things. I want to deal with what happened in Europe during the week, and then I just want to deal with what's going to happen in Ireland tomorrow. Okay? And you know, sometimes things happen in life and they astound you, because what happens is you're told by the newspapers how this came about. Was I happened to be reading Der Spiegel, and it's the German newspaper, at the beginning of the week, and they did a whole series of articles about Angela Merkel, about their Chancellor Angela Merkel, and about her going. She was going to the head of state meeting in Brussels on Thursday and Friday, and what they thought she should do and how she should deal with the Greek crisis and with the pig crisis. And so it happened, so it came to pass. She arrived, and she just stamped her authority. She just took control of the whole head of state of Europe. She told them, this is what it's going to be. I'm the Chancellor of Germany. I'm telling you what's going to take place. There's no prevarication, there's no alteration, there's no going back. I am cracking the whip. I am the puppet master. I am the Iron Lady. And it was a tour de force. That's what it was. It's the only way I can describe it. It was a political tour de force. She just seized control, and they will not forget that. But they can do nothing about it. They cannot do anything about it. As I say, she went along there and just imposed her will and her authority on them. And the two key things that are going to come out of it is what she wanted in the first place. Number one, the IMF is going to be directly involved. There's going to be European after them going to the bond market. They won't be able to raise all this money from the bond market. The Greeks have raised some of it, but the Europeans will be involved and the IMF will be involved in sorting out the matter. But the IMF will be alongside the Europeans, a twinned approach. That's dealing with Greece, and that same template will then be rolled over and applied to the other pig countries. So as I say, there's no talking about it, no prevarication, no nothing. This is the way it's going down. Take it or leave it. And they took it. I tell you, there was a lot of politics played out in it. I believe she's up for re-election shortly as a German Chancellor. And I tell you, if that meeting and the outcome of that meeting was anything to go by, if you were Germans, she didn't do her cause any harm, I can assure you. And I'd say it was a massive feather in her cap, that meeting. But anyway, that's a secondary thing to the main thing. The main thing is the economic thing from within. I have no doubt, based on it, that she will be re-elected as a German Chancellor. I have absolutely no doubt about that, because that, as I say, it was a powerful tour de force. It was a major statement, and she just, primacy of will job, she forced them all into submission. And the little Napoleon, little Sarkozy, was patted on the head and told to be a good boy, as were the rest of them. And it was a Margaret Thatcher job. This woman's a ball breaker. She's more balls than half those guys have. And anyway, that's the story. I don't like her. I don't like her politics. I don't like lots of what she stands for. But she achieved what she set out to achieve. So that's the story. We've got two Europes now. We've got a demarcation line. Above it, we've got the mainstream Europe that are going to be involved directly in the euro, and we've got the ill and the sick, the pigs of Europe, and they're going to be looked after by Europe and by the IMF and by the bond markets. So that's where we're going with that. And there's no talking about it. There's no nothing about it, and we're part of that. Have a look at this Der Spiegel article. I'll put it up there as a scan now. And then have a look at it. You'll see it there. I've put a wee link up to it wherever the link box is. I'll put a link up to it. You can have a read of it. And by the way, there's three very, very interesting charts that go alongside that article, and I think they're well worth looking at. One of them in particular, it deals with the debt coming due from the various pig countries this year, and it's over $500 billion. It's 400 billion in debt that they owe the bond markets this year, and they have to either roll that debt over or cough it up. Obviously not all of it they'll have to cough up, but they have to cough up the interest on it. It tells you for Ireland, we have to find by the end of May, this May, we have to find 7.2 billion. Now we'll either roll that over, as I say, or we have to pay the interest on it. But that's what it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you for the whole year what Ireland has to find. But I'm sure it's substantially a lot more than 7.2 billion. Anyway, we mustn't forget we're going to borrow from the bond market this year 22 billion. Ireland is going to borrow 22 billion. And for the first time in our history, we're talking about issuing 30-year bonds. 30-year bonds. Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about Brian Lenihan tomorrow. Brian Lenihan is going to make a major statement in Dálaran tomorrow in the Houses of Parliament here in Ireland, in Dublin, Leinster House. And he's going to make an announcement. And the announcement will be as follows. That they must have agreed with the European Central Bank about the value of some of these NAMA loans that are going to be transferred into NAMA. These bank loans that are going to be transferred. And what it'll mean is, if they were saying in the papers over the last couple of days, they basically agreed around about a 35 to 40% cut in the value that the banks have put on these loans. It's going to effectively mean that we are going to have to give over a huge tranche of borrowed money, public money, state money. So not only will we be giving over the NAMA money, but on top of that we'll have to give over a huge tranche of borrowed money we borrowed on the bond markets to bolster up these banks. So effectively what's going to happen is by the end of this week we will own another bank. That's Allied Irish Bank. We may own two banks. We may own Bank of Ireland as well. But we're going to know tomorrow the amounts of money. And we're also going to know how much money, borrowed money again, we have to put into this zombie bank, this Anglo-Irish bank. It should have been closed down a year ago. They say it could be up to 10 billion. What a business. So we're going to discuss this further because we live in interesting times. But tomorrow's a big day in Ireland's financial history. And we definitely by the end of this week are going to own two banks. We're going to own Anglo-Irish and Allied Irish. And there's every possibility we could also own Bank of Ireland. We're going to know that. That's going to be clearer tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk more. Bye.